He beat Magnus Carlsen with the black pieces, and the man I'm talking about here is Badur Jabava. Right, so Badur Jabava is an absolute certified G. He's rated 2701, his opponent's rated 2838. When I say his opponent's Magnus Carlsen, let's just get into it. So we see a fairly standard opening here, you know, pretty standard. I do like this move A5 though, you know, kind of mixing it up a bit. I like that because especially I'm watching this game and I'm thinking, okay, I suck in this position as black anyway, so I'm taking notes. I'm trying to improve. So we see the move C4, and by the way, Jabava, I think about 2012, I think early 2000s, you know, he was on par to being like one of the best players in the world. He was extremely strong, and this game was played 2017. He's also got really well placed cheekbones, which is quite a weird thing for someone to say, and you're probably getting a bit worried right now, but don't worry. But I just have to give him credit. You know, his cheekbones, you know, I'm stuck here with this baby face. So anyway, we see the move C4, we see D6, D4, knight B to D7, knight C3, knight b6. I want to say something here. You will see here that Badur Jabava has gone for this knight maneuver here. He could have put his knight on the c6 square, but when he puts his knight on the b6 square, it gives him more options. It gives him more immunity. For example, this pawn has always been afraid of taking it, and he probably doesn't want to take it with the rook, so that would probably just be a blunder of a pawn. So with knight b6, he also defends this pawn, and he also attacks the center. I get this a lot in the Scandinavian defense. I lost a horrible game yesterday in the Scandinavian defense. Let's keep going. So we see queen c2, and here Jabava strikes in the center with d5. You've got to strike in the center with chess. It's like with anything, you've got to strike in the center. If this was taken, let me quickly show you, then he would probably play the move a3, followed by not knight takes here, but probably knight f takes, because when say the bishop comes back, then we get the bishop into the game. We're looking nice here, and you know, this kind of whole plan of this has been kind of shut off, so he's got to go to g5, and that can always be kicked away with h. So you know, Magnus Carlsen's strategy is going to change a bit. You know it's Magnus Carlsen at the end of the day, boys. So going back a bit, back to this part after the move d5 was played, and which is quite critical because there's a couple branches that could be opened here. So here Magnus Carlsen played the move c5. Now if you just move back with the knight, you know, you're going to look a bit weak. So you know, we could do that. Instead, he decided to play the move a3. We see bishop a3, we see rook a3, and now takes. And the only downside is that you have to take back with here, which actually does end up doubling the pawns. One characteristic of Jabava's plays, he likes to play these kind of unorthodox positions. If you know anything about him, he also invented an opening, the Jabava London system. Before taking here, what's interesting is that I was thinking here, you know, obviously me being a grandmaster myself, I'm looking at this position, I'm thinking, okay, is there any better way we could play this against Magnus Carlsen? Because I'm sure me and him would be crossing paths quite soon. So you could go c6 here, and according to my calculations, the move knight a4, in which I found, and then I went to check. I like to look at moves, see if they're played, and then I'll check with the engine. So I saw this move, I was like, okay, cool. And you'd have to continue with a move like queen d6 here, because you know, obviously your rook's trapped here. And yeah, it would be fairly shaky. So, but you could also retake this at any moment in time when the knight's not there. So that's something you could do, but it's quite complicated. So you may as well just avoid complications and take. So we see takes, rook a to c1, bishop f5 now developing. He's bishop with tempo, big principle. I'm pretty big on round here. He brings the rook back. We see knight e5, so the bishop comes open as well. Bishop, knight, and this is quite a common idea, especially when you've got your knight blocking this bishop. You want to try bring that boy into the center. We see e6 now. Knight b5, and now knight f to d7. It's really just knight d7 because there's no other knight, but you get the point. And the nice thing about this is that I like this move. These type of moves I quite struggle to find. In fact, there's a quote: the hardest move to find is the move with the knight going backwards. So you can force the horse to the water. You can't force it to drink. You know, it's the same thing. You can't, with the knight going backwards, they're hard to find. So we see knight d7. The knight comes back now. Now rook c8. You've got to contest for the c file. There's one thing about Jabava's position here is that yes, he's got the open a file. His opponent's got the open c file. You've got to contest these. Because, you know, it's like you've just got to contest them. If there was a war, for example, you've got to control those lines, you know, where the food supplies are going. Same thing in chess. These are the food supply lines. This is where all the things go down. So rook c8, and this is where, you know, this is where Magnus Carlsen's going to look to infiltrate if he can control this. But first he has to control it. So Jabava goes, okay, cool. I understand this is extremely valuable, being a grandmaster myself, and goes, okay, I've got to control it. So we see takes, rook c1, and now queen b8. Queen b8 also controls this. You've got to control this because the knight can maybe hop in. Play continues, rook c7. We see knight c5. This knight cannot be taken because if this knight is taken, then you lose your queen. And a knight for a queen is not a good trade. So the play continues, knight e5. We see knight b6 now. Play continues, and now bang here. The move Jabava should have played here was probably knight c5 because it controls the threat, because obviously white is threatening this move, knight d7 here, which would be a fork. So instead of playing that, he decides to exchange, and it doesn't look that bad at first. But the problem is, you can probably see on the eval bar here. I'll let you actually pause the video and try work out why white is slightly better. There's a couple reasons. Okay, so it's never quite straightforward. First of all, he can put his knight on the d6 square, which will be a great outpost. It's said that the further the knight is in the territory of your opponent's camp, so the further you can get your knight up the board, the more valuable it becomes. You can also see that there's very weak dark squares here, which white can exploit. He's also got double pawns here. So it's, you know, it's a combination of things. Obviously, Jabava's going to have his own compensation. He's got a bishop and a knight. Just realized Carlsen's got that as well. You know, like I said, the ending's crazy here. So the game continues. Knight d7, we see queen c6, queen d2, a very strong move because he's looking to infiltrate those weaknesses. Knight c5, we see queen g5, and play could get quite shaky. Queen d7 bringing it back, g4. And after bishop e4, the move b4 would have been quite a pain in the arse because this bishop is defending this. As you see, we got 1, 2 attackers. We've got 2 attackers, but if you can play b4 and remove an attacker, then you win a pawn. So you've got to be careful here. b4 would have been a very strong move. That's why the engine's 1.1. Anyway, he misses that. He goes f3. Bishop comes back. And now, I've got a question for you. Is it safe for Jabava to gobble up these pawns? Well, we're going to see. He does it anyway. So he takes there. He takes again. And now, you know, this is looking scary, very scary. But here Magnus Carlsen plays the inaccurate move. Unfortunately, he plays the wrong move. I'll let you try pause the video and find really the only move that gives Carlsen a nice advantage. Right, so there's 2 moves. It's really only queen f6 or f4, but they both have the same idea. So you have to go queen f6 here with the idea of f4 breaking through the structure. Instead, Magnus Carlsen played the move h6, which allows the move f5, and Jabava, this is the only move Jabava finds it instantly, you know, G stuff. f5, you've really got to find this move here. We see gf3, gf3, and after bishop h3, Jabava has this really nice resource at his fingertips, and he can go knight e6 now and kind of consolidate a bit. We see it takes, knight takes, kind of an exchange. And up to this point, the material is pretty much, I mean, Jabava's up 1 pawn, but these are doubles, so he's probably going to lose it back. Weak pawn here. It's going to be very interesting how this unfolds. So the game continues, and we get to a very crucial moment. I'm going to show you where the game gets very decisive. So Jabava, bang, knight f7. Now here Carlsen plays the wrong move, and he decides to exchange. The problem is this light square bishop can actually annoy Jabava with always threatening bishop h7, bishop g8, attacking this pawn. So when he decides to exchange it, now it's a bishop versus a knight endgame, but Jabava's up 1 pawn. And bishop versus knight, it's a pretty open position. This is going to be a nice cleanup. So we see the... Oh, I like this move, by the way, g5. Very nice. Just quite a delicate, elegant move, stopping this king from getting in. We see this. And Jabava just, you know, he's got a better position here. I don't know what to say. He wins this pawn. He's only really got to make sure the e pawn doesn't promote. He keeps going. And we see this and here. I think I was after this, yeah. So the move h3 here, followed by, because you got to distract the king. This was the plan. It didn't happen in the game. Then you go here and then you just promote. Obviously, you can't take this knight because white is threatening to do this. So just going back a bit, back to, I think, was it knight b7? Let's go back to this part. We go here. So, like I said, there was a missed opportunity of this. It was missed, but game continues. Tried to win this pawn. Back, back, bang, takes. And this position, and we get to a very... Okay, try pause the video, find the only move. There's only one move here, you've got to try find it. So if you did find it, congratulations. The move is not king c5. In fact, the move is bishop a3. Let me know in the comments if you found that move. Genuinely let me know in the comments, because I'll like your comment. Bishop a4 was a KO, because now you attack the king, and the king can't escape. And if the king does go to b8, you just push. Simple. Back to king c5, which was played. This was a blunder. Now, after king c5, knight b3 would have been really strong, because now I'm pretty sure the white knight can always just sacrifice here. But instead, we see this. Bang, bang, bang. And now it's strong again because he's put his bishop on f7. The game continues, and after king b6, this knight is just trapped, and he's going to win this, and he controls the square. He's going to promote. So that is the end of the video. If you enjoyed this video, new format of videos, I'm going to be streaming as well, 5 o'clock. Thank you for your time and attention. If you do want to join the Mitre Network, you can join that down below. We've also got Badur Jabava's brother in there now, so he's making some stuff for that. Learn from an international master. Thank you for your time and attention. Have a good day.